Good morning, good morning. Good morning. Here we are for another morning of fun and frolics at Unleashed Community Drama. So my goodness, have we got a treat for you this morning? We have got a jam-packed session this morning. We really have. We've got interviews and we've got a special theme this morning, and that theme is Loneliness Awareness Week. And Loneliness Awareness Week is on all week. And so we're going to be talking about loneliness, particularly in particular with addiction. So we've got a really great guest today. We've got Julie Ingham, who's come from Jatis, who's going to be telling us all about the wonderful work that Jatis do. We've got some really great shout outs. So I'm really hoping that you're going to enjoy this morning. It's quite thought-provoking. We're trying to get as many people onto Zoom so that we can get so many people joining in every week. We're trying to do, just like we do on a Thursday morning at Endeavour House, a group session where we're all together and we can interact, we can talk to one another. So this is what we're trying to do. So we're trying to get more people on every week. So we have got a great introductory bit, which we're going to show now. We did this yesterday. We've got quite a few people who've joined us. So here we go. Okay, guys, welcome. Here we are at the club. Okay, Thursday morning, and it's great to have a posse here this morning. It's lovely to have Molly for the first time. Okay, good morning, everybody. Well, guys, have we got a treat for you today? Okay, welcome to our Unleashed Community Drama, and this morning is our mental health special. So, guys, I'll tell you, we have got a treat for you. We've got a really packed, we've got an absolutely packed morning, so we're going to crack on. I want to read a poem first of all by my brother, believe it or not, who is a poet. He's a professional poet and speaker and writer, and he wrote this poem. I think it really is really pertinent for today. So I'm going to read it. It's called Inconvenient Truth. And it goes like this. There is currently no service between King's Cross and Seven Sisters due to a person on the track. Transport for London wishes to apologise for any inconvenience. There is currently no service between King's Cross and Seven Sisters due to a baby who grew up and lost his job, his kids, and the will to live.
I will.
There is currently no service between King's Cross.
I'm Molly, and I'm feeling really happy.
This is good.
That's it.
Laura.
Hello. My name is Laura, and I'm feeling green-fingered today.
Been in the garden. This is good.
Oh, yes. I didn't do much gardening, but the sun came out,
This is great. Yeah, connecting with nature. Well done, Laura. Lovely Jude, it's lovely to have you again.
Hi everyone. Yeah, I'm Jude, and I'm feeling tired at the moment. Tired.
I'll use that one.
That's all right, Danny, you can use it as well. Danny, let's come to you. Your name and one word.
Danny. Tired.
So why are you tired, Danny?
Not sleeping that morning.
Not sleeping well. Oh, bless you, that's tough.
Yeah, 2 hours sleep about.
Oh my goodness, that's not great. Neil.
Neil, and I'm feeling crushed.
Crashed?
Yeah.
Crashed or crushed?
Crushed.
Oh my goodness. What's going on there then?
Look at all the tapes have fallen over.
No! Oh, okay. As long as you're okay, it's good. Right,
I'm all right.
I missed you out last week, matey, and I'm glad you're here. So, Calvin.
Are you ready for this? This is Calvin. Weary.
Oh.
Are you allowed back in the house?
No.
Oh my goodness. Well, this is Penny said no. Right, okay. Well, let's move swiftly on. Roz, lovely to have you.
Hi, I'm Roz, and I was feeling refreshed today.
Oh.
Because I walked at Cockington in the Rose Garden, and it's beautiful.
Oh, lovely.
Good.
All the roses were out and it smelled fantastic.
Lovely.
Very nice.
Josie.
Hi, I'm Josie, and I am
Yes.
extremely frustrated with technology.
Oh gosh, I know that feeling. Bless you. But you're here, and we can see you, and we can hear you. So that's the main thing. Sharon.
Hi, I'm Sharon. I'm feeling gregarious.
Hey, good word.
Well, we've got your lovely duolog to look forward to. So that's really going to be fun. So very gregarious that. So it's great to have you here. John, how are you doing, mate?
Okay, good, yeah.
Good man. And we've got a surprise coming up with you, haven't we, as well? Which we'll talk about later.
Yes.
Talk about later, but this is good. Rachel, it's lovely to have you visiting us today. I know you're not normally there on Thursday, but you're very much a part of us. So it's lovely to see you.
Thank you. I'm Rachel, and I'm feeling productive today because my internet online stuff has worked.
This is good. And Marc, in your own abode, without your bow tie on, and you're still wearing your t-shirt.
Yeah. I'm Mark and I'm upbeat, full stop, just like that. Simple.
Are you wearing trousers?
Yes.
This is good.
Just to put that Calvin in his place, you know what I mean?
That's fine. Okay, well, guys, welcome to the club. We've got a great morning. We've got a great interview with Julie from Jatis coming up, and quite a few surprises. But I thought it'd be really good to kick it off. I know there's a lot of people who've perhaps been seeing on the news the last 2 weeks. It's been really grim what's been going on, hasn't it? With the death of George Floyd and all the race riots and the protests and the toppling of statues and what have you. And I was having to think about this, and I was thinking, actually, Unleashed, we really stand for people who perhaps feel oppressed or who perhaps are misunderstood, who perhaps don't have a voice. And because, a lot of our guys perhaps been homeless or on a 12-step program or feel anxious or got mental health issues, I think what we are really, really good at, I think, is trying to give voice to those people who do feel perhaps on the edge of stuff, on the outside of things, and who feel they don't have a voice. What I'd like us to do is to see whether anyone's got any ideas of... Hang on, Neil, can you go mute? Hang on, mate, sorry. You have to mute him.
You can hear me still, can't you?
I can.
Hey,
I can. But I wonder if anyone's got any ideas about a drama that we could do, or you've had any thoughts about what's been in the news the last couple of weeks, particularly in the whole area of racism. Molly?
I've just been talking about this a lot recently. I think a lot of it has escalated recently with social media. I think social media can be good, but it also causes a lot of issues because they're not just getting bullied outside, it's just relentless. So things that people wouldn't usually want to say to someone's face, they then turn into keyboard warriors and just hound people. I think it has a really negative impact on people, especially young people, younger generation, the pressure to feel they have to look a certain way. I'm actually fearful for my children growing up in a world of TikTok and all the rest of it. We have to constantly be getting those likes. It's just too much pressure. Yeah. So I'm just really angry at social media recently. If I didn't need it for work, I'd delete it.
Well, funny enough, we were having this conversation earlier, and actually they reckon that a lot of loneliness is actually prompted by social media, that although people are more connected, they're more lonely because they're not actually seeing people face to face.
A lot of young people end up in debt as well because they feel like they need to have this lifestyle, which is shown that it's an Instagram lifestyle where they need to be on these expensive holidays, having the perfect car, and they get themselves into loads of debt. I actually know people that's like that.
That's crazy.
So I just think it needs to be monitored more, or just get rid of the lot.
Okay, that's a good point. Although people are more connected, they're more lonely because they're not actually seeing people face to face.
A lot of young people end up in debt as well because they feel like they need to have this lifestyle, which is shown that it's an Instagram lifestyle where they need to be on these expensive holidays, having get rid of the lot.
Okay, that's a good point. Although people are more connected, they're more lonely because they're not actually seeing people face to face.
A lot of young people end up in debt as well because they feel like they need to have this lifestyle, which is shown that it's an Instagram.
I think is highly relevant because, of course, loneliness is only reinforced by being locked in.
Yeah.
I know a
We
guy
know
did
the
a
price of
study.
everything and the value of nothing.
There's a guy that did a study. I was actually listening to it today. He was on a TED talk. I can't remember his name, but he'd done a study around the world, talking to different people regarding depression and anxiety and what is the main factor why it happens. And one of the main key factors why it happens is human beings were tribes people. We're supposed to, ever since, you know, when we first started hunting, before, we never did it by ourselves. We worked as a team. We were like a tribe.
Yeah.
So
hunter-gatherers.
you need this group. I mean, on social media, fair enough, what we're doing now, it's kind of, but it's not the same as face-to-face, people-to-people. And that's what we crave. I mean, a major thing for depression is not having what you need. You know, one of our needs is
human contact, yeah.
Exactly.
Or being part of a community.
Being part of a community, yeah, totally. Any other thoughts, guys? Roz?
Yeah, I think the other point, going back to Molly, is that if you only present yourself on media, you can become two people. You can become the person you present on media, and you can be the person you are in your home. And sometimes those two get further and further apart.
Yeah.
So you lose a sense of your own self.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think
Neil, hang on a sec, Neil.
I've got this is a bit of a hot potato. I'm touching on the George Floyd thing, right? It's been a massive outcry. You know, the whole Black Lives Matter, and making out that this guy was whiter than, well, not whiter than white, but you know, that he was this normal guy who didn't do anything wrong. But I don't know whether it's true or not, but it was said that he was going to school drugs. He's been in prison many times. He was violent. He's been in prison for violence. You know, so I don't know where anyone stands on that one.
I think the issue, Neil, is that it's highlighted that actually the way in which the police treat black people in America, that's the issue. Yeah. And I think, regardless of what he was being stopped for, the fact that he was killed and he kept saying, "I can't breathe," that was the issue.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, I hear what you're saying, but I think that's what's outraged people, the fact that actually, you know, black people are less likely to get employed, they're more likely to be stopped by the police and all that sort of stuff. Molly? Oh, sorry. Sharon.
I was just listening to... Can you hear me?
I can, yeah.
Oh, okay, no, it keeps freezing, sorry.
Okay, Sharon, what were you going to say, Sharon?
I've got personal experience because my eldest son married an Indonesian girl while he was living and working in Hong Kong, and he became ill. He had mental health issues while he was there, and drug problems, and he came back to England to seek help, really, for support from his family. And we went through the most terrible time, because I don't think anybody will probably realise this, but will do, because it's going to apply to all Europeans as well. So there's always has been a point system. You've got to score points and earn so much to get your... It doesn't matter whether you're married or not. He couldn't bring his wife over. We went through all the issues of trying to get her into the country, keep her in the country. We even sent her back to Indonesia, paid for her to go back to Indonesia. Paid for 2 visas, and they still turned her down. So I've got very personal experience of that, of issues surrounding race, and people struggle with it, and issues revolving around her time in England as well.
Okay. Well, guys, any other thoughts? Because I think what I'd like to think that we could do is I think it's really important that we do perhaps have something that we can come out of. I have to say the duologs are coming on really nicely, and I know Alexa's written one, and I know other people are working on some. So we've got those 2 already. But but I'd like us to do something that's a bit more thought-provoking. So, guys, we're going to wrap this up because we're going to move on to the next thing. Oh, loving the shades, Danny.
Thank you.
Okay, John, very quickly, what's your idea?
I think we could possibly do something to do with history as well, because it's all connected up with a whole sort of incredible lot of history. And I think particularly with all the statues being pulled down, I think that's quite important that we talk about why that came to be in the first place. Because like that one in Bristol, there was lots of petitions to get that done in the first place, like
to do with history,
democratically, but nothing happened. So
it's all to do with history and slavery and things like that. Isn't it?
Right, guys, can I just leave you with this thought? That's a really good point, John. I was thinking about it this week, and actually, my mind went back to a guy called John Newton, who wrote the very famous hymn "Amazing Grace." And John Newton was actually a vicar and a pastor, and in his he actually took under his wing William Wilberforce, who he mentored and led. And William Wilberforce, of course, became the Prime Minister who actually saw the abolition of slavery. And John Newton saw the abolition of slavery, and he was one of the at the forefront of the abolitionist movement. Yeah, what people don't realise is that he actually, in his younger years, had been a captain on a slave boat and had been involved with the slave trade. And it's when he came and had an encounter with God, and he realised how awful it was, that his life was completely changed and transformed, and he worked tirelessly to actually bring down slavery and get it abolished, and that happened. And that's when he wrote the hymn "Amazing Grace." I once was lost and now I'm found. So I think, particularly in the context of us thinking about, we always say you are not defined by your past. We can all make terrible mistakes. We can live lives that are really bad. But actually, we need to be able to let people move forward and become reformed and become, if you like, reborn. Do you know what I mean? I think the thing that saddened me about the whole thing with John Colston was, I don't know the order in which he did all the good things, but whether he did all those good things in Bristol to try and salve his conscience, I don't know. And I'm not making excuses for him, but I think, there's an idea there, like you said, John, about using history to actually make the point that actually people do change. We need to allow people to be changed.
Plus, people are bringing history up as they're using history as an excuse.
Yeah, they are. Guys, listen, thank you for that.
Okay.
Listen, if you've got any more thoughts, let me know. We're going to move on. We've got a fun-packed morning. Oh my gosh, there's so much. So it's so good to see you all. Thank you for being here in this opening Zoom. And we will, do this every week, see if we can get as many people on board as possible. But I'm going to move on now because we've got much more fun and frights to come up. So, guys, you can say goodbye, and we will see you another time. All right, take care. Hey! So guys, that was our opening Zoom. We have got now the Duolog challenge. If you remember last week, we set a Duolog challenge. And we have young Marc. We have young Margie, who are going to do a Duolog. Marc has written this great Duolog. I'm just going to get it set up here. And so we recorded this yesterday. Guys, what we're trying to do is we're trying to fill this with now, proper drama that people have written. The great thing about Zoom is that we can rehearse. We can actually get people on the club on a Thursday. It's hard to do it live, but we can actually get them on, and we can write stuff, we can perform it, we can even rehearse it. So this is the grand plan. So here we go. Okay, so the first duologue we're going to look at is one that lovely Marc has written. Now, Marc, you've written loads of monologues. And
yeah, that's right.
You've written loads of poems, which we love every week. They love the old poetry corner. You have written a duologue, which is really good, and it's, well, do you want to explain what it's about and how you got the idea?
Well, the duologue itself, I just had a thought about cavemen and Fred Flintstone and all the rest of it. And then, for some reason, I thought about the duologue I did with Tracy on the Millennium play, you know, when we played.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, brilliant.
And I realised that when Joe and Olive, we're a bit like Jack and Vera Duckworth off Coronation Street. So it occurred to me, why don't I do a caveman duologue? Do a bit like the Jack and Vera Duckworth caveman.
Yeah, very clever, very clever.
And that was how that idea.
So just set it up for us then, Mark. Just set up the premise. So you're shut down in a cave. Is that right?
We're locked down in our cave, and we've been locked down for a while, and tempers are getting a bit frayed. So we're just having a bit of a domestic on the basis of that.
Okay. Well, Margie, bless her, has agreed to be. Is it Sonia? Sonia and Vinny. I'm sure Vinny's turned up in one of your other monologues. Vinny.
No, he hasn't. No, this is the first Vinny I've done.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
He wasn't one of the neighbours in your garden monologue.
I don't think so. No.
Okay. I love it anyway. Okay.
Yeah.
So guys, when you're ready, Margie, bless you. All right, lovely.
Yeah.
Good. We're going to do a bit of acting. This is good. So, right, when you're ready, kick it off. It's called Home Sweet Home, I believe, Mark, isn't it?
Yeah, I called it Home Sweet Home, yes.
Okay, so guys, when you're ready.
Okay. This cave isn't big enough for all four of us. You know that, don't you?
Well, it has been up till now. What's the problem?
What's the problem? What's the problem? I'll tell you what the problem is. It's all of us being stuck in here together since the lockdown started. That's the problem.
Well, it's the same for everyone.
No, it isn't.
What do you mean?
Other people have spacious caves to live in, but not us. No, not us.
You liked it when we first moved in.
No, I didn't. I only went along with it because I was fed up with you keep saying that Bijou was best.
Well, it is.
Oh, really? It might be all right for some people, but there are four of us in here and we haven't got room to swing half a saber-toothed tiger round, have we?
I wouldn't say that.
Well, I would. For one thing, it's not right, Big Ugg and Little Ugg having to share one bedroom. Things have changed drastically since Big Ugg went on his first troglodyte the other week. And what about Little Ugg?
What about it?
He's insisting on his pet woolly mammoth. You know, the one you bought him has its basket in their bedroom. Can't go on like this. It's getting bigger and bigger every day.
Algernon.
What?
Algernon. His name's Algernon.
I know his bloody name's Algernon. That's all I hear 24/7. Algernon this, Algernon that. And it's stupid.
Don't say that.
Why not?
It looks at Little Ugg. He loves that woolly mammoth. And he's a pedigree.
I don't care. It's still stupid.
I'm afraid I'll have to disagree with you.
Oh, really? And why is that then?
Because he's only 6 months old and he's already learned to retrieve his ball. According to the vet, that gives him an IQ of 150.
Well, that makes me feel much better. So, that makes it that Algernon is 10 times cleverer than you then. And another thing.
Don't go on about the decorating again. I said I'd get round to it.
You've been saying that since last Christmas, and you haven't done a hand's turn since lockdown started.
Well, you said you liked the Red Sand store.
Well, I've changed my mind. I've gone off it. I think it looks really dingy.
So what do you want then?
Well, I think a nice coat of volcanic ash would go really well with the alluvial gravel in the bathroom.
Right, I'll get on with it this week. But it's very difficult using the ladders, especially with the earth tremors.
Yes, and that's another thing. Why do you think this cave came so cheap? Well, I'll tell you, shall I? When that nice estate agent man came round, do you remember what he said about the fault line? You know, the one that runs right through my kitchen? He said we could experience sporadic periods of tectonic activity. To which you replied, and I quote, "No problem, pal." That's because you haven't got a bloody clue what tectonic means, and you didn't realise sporadic means every 2 hours.
Is that why you said the earth moved for you in bed last night?
That's got nothing to do with it.
I thought I'd just mention it.
Well, don't. So, we have a bijou cave on a fault line and a woolly mammoth that's getting bigger every day. He may have an IQ of 150, but it would help if you could get him house trained. Not only would it smell better, but we'd save a fortune on air fresheners.
You can't rush these things, love.
Can't rush these things. Can't rush these things. I don't believe this.
It's not all that bad.
I've given you the best years of my life.
Oh, not again.
Well, at least you're back to work next week.
And the kids will be back at school, so things will be normal again.
There's nothing normal about this cave. Anyway, I'm going to my mother's. She said it would be like this. You'll have to get your own tea. There's plenty of stuff in the ice cavern. So what will you be doing while I'm out?
I thought I might just finish this 6-pack of fermented fruit and watch the athletics from Stonehenge.
Typical. Bloody typical.
Oh my goodness. Very good, Mark. It's very, very funny. So listen, mate, I tell you what, well done, Margie. Really good. I mean, I love the
Cheers, Margie, that was cracking.
Yeah, really cracking, really good. So, Mark, when we come to do this, because the idea is that this would fit in perfectly with our COVID celebration when we're all back together, you know, because it marks, you know, it's very, very topical, and it marks, you know, what we've been up to, particularly, you know, go back to work and the kids going back and stuff like that. How do you envisage it working via Zoom in terms of like costumes or backdrops and stuff like that? What's your, as the writer, what's your thoughts on how we can make it more sort of like, you know, like a theatrical piece? Because I mean, as a duologue, like a radio play, it works really well. But wouldn't it be great if we could add a few visuals and perhaps, you know, a bit of costume? What are your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, well, I thought maybe if we get a bit of costume going, there's plenty of cliffs on the coastline where the red sandstone, some of it's eroded, some of it hasn't. And if we sat on the bottom of a red sandstone cliff, like at the door of our cave, on the prompt, or you know, part of the sea front, you know, I think that would be a good backdrop. And a little bit of a couple of big wigs and a bit of leopard skin costumes, and we'd be great. Yeah.
I think we could do it. I think a week or two's time, when we can perhaps they ease up even more, we could certainly do that. We could take you outside. We're allowed to be outside together a bit more, as long as you are socially distanced by 2 meters or whatever. We could take you we could film it. We really could. We could have a couple of, perhaps idiot sheets so you don't have to learn the lines or whatever completely. But I mean, I think it's really good, really fab, Mark. So well done. I mean, yours is the first duologue. We've got Nick and Sharon coming up. Sharon's written a very topical one, which we're going to see in a second. But Marky, thank you, Mr. Mark. That was brilliant. And Mark, well done, mate. I know you're still fresh on the screen. People are thinking that your acting's very stilted. It's because we've got audio, but unfortunately the old Zoom is frozen. So, so you're it's sort of stuck in stone, as it were. But Mark, thank you so much, mate. Really appreciate you doing it. Alrighty. What are you going to say, Mark? Okay. Okay. Isn't that fab? Really fun. So let me just set up the next one. Oh my goodness. Now this next one, Sharon wrote, and I'm going to let her tell you about it. But this is Sharon, and here we go. Sharon and Nick. So here we go. Okay, hang on. So Sharon, here we are. We're doing the second duologue. Okay. So Sharon, do you want to tell us a little bit about how you came up with this idea? Because it's actually hilarious.
Well, Dominic Cummings is often on my mind because he makes me really angry, as well as the rest of the government, but him in particular. And I just got a vision of him being just spoiled little brat. And I can imagine his mum telling him he could have anything he wanted just to keep him happy. And that's what made me start thinking about writing a duologue about him and his mum.
It's very good. It's very, very funny. So, Nick, you are going to play Dominic Cummings. He's a spoiled brat who's like, anything goes. I can drive to Durham. I can do whatever I like, even though I'm telling nobody else they can. So this is quite fun. So, guys, when you're ready, Sharon, I think, do you kick it off?
Right. Yes. The phone rings, yeah.
Okay, so you're on the phone, right.
Yeah. Who is it? Who is it? Is that you, Dominic?
Yes, Mommy!
But darling, whatever is the matter?
Oh, Mummy! Everybody is being so terribly horrid to me.
Oh, darling Dom, what could you have possibly done that is so terrible?
Oh, Mumsy! Some of the ordinary people didn't like me coming to stop with you when I was feeling so poorly with that coronavirus thingy. They don't seem to understand that a chap needs his mummy when he's feeling so awful.
Oh, darling Domsy, what have they been saying?
Oh, Mumsy Moos, they want my bestie Boris to sack me, although, like me, he can't understand what all the fuss is about.
Oh, no, darling Doms, he can't sack you. Who would run the country?
Oh, Mumsy Woos, exactly. Boris would have to get it all done, all by himself. And what a disaster that would be.
Oh, but darling Domsy Doms, how did the ordinary people know you were stopping with Mummy?
Oh, Mumsy Mummy, some of your nasty neighbours were spying on you because you are the mummy of the Prime Minister.
Oh, but darling Diddledoms, I'm not Boris's mummy.
Oh, Mumsy Woos, I didn't say you are Boris's mummy. I said you are the mummy of the Prime Minister.
Oh, right, darling Diddledom-doms, I see what you mean. But surely Boris will protect you, considering you know all his secrets.
Oh, Mumsy Womsy, of course he will. He knows which side his bread is buttered. But with all that aromavirus thingy, he is under a lot of pressure, especially as he asked the ordinary people to stay indoors with alert 2 meters apart.
Oh, darling diddle dum-dums, how terribly dreadful.
Oh, mamma mia, mumsy. It would have been so bad if I hadn't had to bring them with me. But with Nanny on a respirator, in the guest bedroom, the other two didn't know what to do. You know, cooking like things. I did try to bribe Junior to do it, but he said he would have given the video he made of me to Boris, getting the job done. And when we went to Amsterdam for a breakfast, I can't even say it, Brexit conference.
Oh, darling Domsy ones, how terribly tiresome. But we did put them in that derelict cottage in the middle of the cow field and told them to stand 2 meters apart like the ordinary people so they wouldn't pass on that coronation chicken virus thingy.
Oh, honey mummy, I know, and all would have been well if they hadn't tried to run away. I had to chase them in the car all the way to Barnard Castle, even though I could hardly see, where I managed to corner them down by the river. I had to use all of my strength to stop them jumping in.
Oh, darling Domsy Womdoms, aren't you so ill with that corner shop virus thingy?
Oh, yummy, mummy. If only the ordinary people would just accept that there is one rule for the rich people and another for the poor, then none of this would matter, and Boris and I could get on with getting the job done. And yummy honey mummy, just as an afterthought, if you lived in London, I could have pretended to be delivering groceries to my elderly parents and just slipped in with my teddy. I need you, mummy. Get your bags packed.
I tell you, it's hilarious, Sharon. It's really clever. It's really, really funny. So, guys, how do you think we would? I mean, actually, to be fair, the way this is set up with Zoom, you know, Sharon first, and then you coming to the forefront. The way it's set up in the way it's being recorded, it works very, very well. I mean, I think you just need to. We need to get a bit of makeup to get you looking like Dominic Cummings, Nick.
Yeah, well, I've got no hair, so that's the first thing I'm all right with.
You've got no hair like him. And what you need is like the slightly pointy eyebrows, and you need the sort of, like skeletal, like jaw, sort of
like Skeletor.
Skeletor, yeah, exactly. Do you know what I mean? So we just need a bit of makeup on you would be fine. I mean, I think.
Yeah, I was a bit annoyed that I messed up the word Brexit.
Yeah. No, don't worry, mate. This is just a read through. I mean, this is just setting it up. I mean, the plan is, I think, if we can do it properly, I think, Sharon, you need to look slightly more sort of like, he's obviously been totally spoiled, hasn't he? So, do you know what I mean? You need to sort of, get you some costume going on. Do you know what I mean? Perhaps really big earrings, big sort of perhaps hair and padded shoulders. Do you know what I mean?
You want me to look like, yes, you don't want me to look an old sort of grey wizened man.
No, I think you need to look, you need to look like a sort of pampered, ladies who lunch, completely spoiled him. I don't know. I mean, we know nothing about him, and it's meant to be just satirical, isn't it? But it's a bit of...
Yeah.
So, Sharon, really well done, though. Really well done. I mean, the plan is that we're going to do this. So I think what we'll do, Nick, is we'll think about how we can get you make-upped up. Just shame we haven't got Molly on hand, to come around and do it, because Molly did all our makeup for Cross and Switchblade. But,
if you want
come
to
round and do it with a mask on, I'll just stand outside and she does it.
Yes!
Swim hat, to be really bold, with hair down the sides of it.
Yes.
A white swim hat.
Well, I've got no hair on top anyway. So I'm all right for that. I'll have a shave a bit and I'll just have a trim goatee.
Yeah, trim goatee or whatever he's got, and then perhaps do sort of fill in your cheeks a bit, and the sort of pointed sort of like eyebrows, slightly
So
scared.
what I'll do is I'll just shave all the sides. I've just got a thin goatee, and then you can do
That'd be good. That'd be good. Well, listen, Sharon, well done. Really, really good. So we'll work this up and we'll do it. Like we said with the other one, we're going to go out and film it. When we finish the if we finally get out of here, we're going to have several bits and pieces that we can show that will mark this time. And I think this is very, very typical because it's very of its time, very topical. So well done, Sharon. Really good. All right, guys. Well done. Well done, both of you. All right. Okay, guys. Really fun. Oh my goodness, really fun. So, yeah, I mean, that I think really works well on Zoom anyway. Now, the next one is, oh my goodness. The next thing we're going to do, something to shout about. My goodness. Have we got something to shout about today? We've got two really good shout outs. And we've got a new avatar. And our new avatar today is... Hey, Marc, what do you reckon? Look at that. Look at that, Marc. It's your new avatar. By the end, we're going to have an avatar for everyone. But Marc has got a very special something to shout about. So without further ado, here we go. Okay, guys, we come to that part in the club where we have got something to shout about. Something, can you see that? It's back to front. Something to shout about. Because, as you can see here, who have we got? Dun, 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 dun. We've got Marc Baker here. Now listen, mate. Oh my goodness, you've got something to really share and shout about, haven't you? Some really great news. Do you want to? It's over to you, mate. Say what you want, but my goodness, this is something to shout about.
Yeah, well, this is going to be on tomorrow, so I will act as if it's tomorrow. So today,
You're not supposed to know that, Marc. This is live.
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot. So today, guys.
Yeah,
Thursday, the 17th of the 6th, I am 3 years clean. 3 years clean from all mooned and mind altering substances.
This is great, mate. Come on, tell us a little bit about it, because I mean, I've known you actually coming up for 3 years, because you came along to the club not long after you went into rehab, didn't you?
Yeah, it was.
You were in under one roof.
No, the very first one, I was in the audience watching, because I was arrested in Jatis, and I watched the first one, and then I ended up relapsed. I didn't relapse because I never got clean to relapse. So I ended up leaving the rooms, leaving the rehab that I was in, Jatis, and I went back out there for another 8.5 months. And during that 8.5 months, I remember at the end of those 8.5 months, so I had a roof over my head, I had drugs, I had everything what I thought I needed, and yet it was the most painful, miserablest time in my life. And I think having a little taste of recovery, of seeing people that it was possible, it stuck in my mind. So when I carried on using, I had like a body full of drugs, but I had a head knowing there was recovery, and it was really horrible.
How long have you been using? You've been taking drugs for years, haven't you?
25 years without one day clean. 25 years, and I never got a day clean in them. And the last 18 years of that, I was a street using intravenous heroin user. And it's bizarre because I remember that phone call like it was yesterday, ringing up the manager at the time of the rehab, and I said, I've got loads of money in this hand, I've got loads of drugs in this hand, and I thought I wanted to kill myself, but I didn't. Now, thinking back on it, I didn't want to die. I wanted to live, but I didn't know how. You know, I was in that really dark, miserable place where kind of addiction took me. And he said, it sounds like coming to us and going to the rooms that you go to, the fellowship that you go to, has really messed you using up, Marc. And I said, yeah, it's not the same anymore. And it was kind of like, it's weird because I tell my partner some things, like she'll say, have you ever done that? Or, you know, did you ever do that when we see things on telly? Or, you know, she hears about stuff. And when I tell her, and I'm like, And when I tell her some stories, she looks at me in bewilderment because the person she knows isn't the person that I used to be, you know. And a lot, I don't know, you know, a lot of people, or some people might watch it, might only know me through my journey since being clean, or know me recently. But I was no different than, you know, and I don't want to, I'm not stereotyping it, but I'm just speaking as it is. I'm no different than the ones that you see sat around Castle Circus that look hopeless and lost. That was me. That was me not many years ago, you know. Yeah.
But you may, because your partner, she's in recovery as well, isn't she?
Yeah.
So that must be really great for you guys to actually be of mutual support.
Oh yeah, it is. It's really good because, you know, I do my recovery, she does her recovery, but we're recovering together.
Yeah.
So if I need to go to a meeting, or I need to go and ring my sponsor, or if a newcomer rings me and I say to my partner at the last minute, look, there's someone really struggling, I need to go and meet him for a coffee, you know, because I never forget where I come from. That's one thing I try not to forget, is where I come from. And she knows, so she'll just be like, yeah, of course, go and do it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's the same. If she needs to do it, I'm the same. So we know what we've got to do to stay clean.
Yeah. Now we've got Julie coming in actually from Jatis today. She's going to actually be talking to us about the work of Jatis. Do you want to just share a little bit about how that helps and how it works for you?
Yeah, do you know what? I'll be forever grateful for Jatis, because all my years using the drug services and seeing counsellors, doctors, psychiatrists, you know, all these different places, not on time, unless it was, and I just wasn't in a place to hear it. Was it mentioned about going to the fellowships? And I'm not going to lie, the rehab really supported me and it helped me. And when I come in, I remember getting taken to a shop to do some shopping for myself. And I stood in the middle of Asda and I had like a panic attack, because I just didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I was buying. I didn't know, you know, what ingredients to get to see me through, because I'd never done it. It was all just so new. So I had to be learned like really basic stuff. Even showering every morning at the beginning was hard. It was really, really hard. Like, you know, the literature I read, it said it takes some of us to like that animalistic level. And that's the way I used to live. I wouldn't wash, change my clothes, you know, feed myself. Everything was just neglected, because all I wanted to do was use. I totally lost myself. And Jatis was a massive part in supporting me, you know, starting off at the basic level and building me back up. And they suggested going to the, you know, to drama. And I struggled with that. I used to sit over in the corner and just watch you guys for ages, and I just want to leave. I didn't even want to be there. You know, everything was just really, really hard at the beginning. But recovery is not easy, you know. I don't believe recovery is hard. I believe what made it hard is my resistance to it.
Yeah.
You know, because I didn't know any other way to live. But once I started just turning up, doing the things, going against the grain. So every time my head would say, you know, don't do that, it's a waste of time, it's a load of whatever, just don't do it. I do it because I needed to do something different.
Yeah.
You know?
So really, I mean, you had to get to rock bottom before you actually realised that, though. Would you say that's fair?
It is, but there's a tricky thing with rock bottoms, Martin. I had a lot more consequential rock bottoms when I was using, and that didn't stop me using. Consequences have never stopped me using. I had to come to a place where I was just dead inside. My rock bottom was an internal one.
Yeah.
Like I said, I tried to commit suicide once. I took a massive overdose, and I come around like 2 days later. And I always thought I wanted to die because I just had enough of the way I was living, but I didn't. I wanted to live. I just didn't know how to live. I didn't know how to live life without using drugs. That was my solution to everything. And it worked to start with. But then it gets to a point where it doesn't work, you know, and things have got to change. And I finally, with the support of Jatis and the local drug services, I managed to do my detox. And then
how long were you in Jatis for? So you went into Jatis and you were in for, how many weeks do you normally go in for?
I'd done 19 weeks, but I was still mucking around using. Then I disappeared for 8.5 months. Then I come back again. And I think I was in there in total before I actually left. It was about 2 years. just over 2 years.
Wow. And was that where you met your partner in Jatis?
No, well, I was in Jatis at the time, but I actually met her going to the rooms. We started to speak in, and then just started getting to know each other.
So, I mean, obviously, I mean, Marc, you are a real testament to, recovery can happen. And I mean, you're just such a great guy. And, to actually think of what you were, it's hard to believe that now, and you've got your act together, you've got your little family and your son and stuff. And, I mean, what would you say was the big difference now? And what is the thing that keeps you clean, do you think?
Well, it's all the things I do. I have to work. See, I always used to think, if I had enough money, everything would be all right. If I had the right job, everything would be all right. If I had the right girlfriend, everything would be all right. If I lived in the right area, everything would be all right. And I was always looking outside to change what I thought was my problem. But what I realised was none of that matters. None of that external stuff matters. It's what's going on inside here. So I have to change from the inside out. Because if I don't go within, I end up going without.
And how did that happen, mate? How did that happen?
For me, it was the process of going through the only thing that's had the ability to change my perception, the way I see the world. So as an addict, I live in fear, I live in resentment, I tend to gossip, I live in depression, I live in anxiety, panic attacks, all of that stuff. And the only way I deal with that is when I went through the process of the steps, where there's spiritual principles within the steps, when I actually start realizing that I don't have to live the way that I lived, and it's not all of this stuff outside here that makes me feel anything, it's my perception of things, then I started to go through the steps, then organically a change started to happen.
Yeah.
And it's brought me to a relationship with my God, it's brought me to a relationship with myself, and then that enables me to then have relationships with other people. And that's all I ever wanted. But I just didn't know how. I just couldn't do it.
Well, that's amazing. Marc, it's really amazing. And you're doing a great job as well, because you're actually working as a mentor now, don't you, and a facilitator within NA as part of your service. I mean, how important is that to you actually to be sort of pulling people up from where you were and helping people along the way?
It's massive, Martin, because that's the way it works. People come in. If everyone came in, got clean, thought life was great and disappeared, then it would wither and die. So if people had done that before me, then I wouldn't have been able to get clean.
Yeah.
The people, I believe, gratitude to me is a feeling and an action. So if I say that I'm grateful for something, I need to show that gratitude. So I show my gratitude by being of service to NA. And like I said, I never want to forget where I come from, and the life that I lived, kindness wasn't shown very much. It was a dog-eat-dog world. I would do anything to get what I wanted and vice versa. So when I come in and people started showing me kind of empathy and just started to show me a bit of compassion and a bit of love, I always thought there was an ulterior motive. I was always suspicious of it, and I didn't know how to receive it. But it was that love that kind of held me. It held me and it carried me along. And then the more that I kind of realized that people didn't necessarily want something from me, they just wanted to be there and help me, then I started to believe it, started to feel it. And that's all I want to do now is, if someone's coming in and they're struggling, I'm more than happy to help anybody, because I wouldn't be where I am now if it wasn't for the people that done it in front of me.
Yeah. Well, Marc, that is fantastic. I tell you, mate, it's really encouraging. It's so encouraging to, hear your story and, really appreciate, you coming on and we just want to celebrate with you. It really is something to shout about. I mean, it's a massive achievement. And, mate, you have so much respect for me, I tell you. You guys, I think for a lot of people, perhaps when they fall over and they go back and then they try again, it does work, doesn't it, Marc? And, it doesn't always happen the first time, but, keep persevering and keep at it. What would you say to those guys who perhaps really struggling at the moment?
Just don't ever give up. It took me 25 years to get one day clean. So I didn't get it, I didn't get it young. I didn't get it first time. I mean, admittedly, since I've got, clean, as in I'm not taking nothing, I've not used again. But I know that's only because I go to the rooms and I do what I do. I continually work on myself. The minute I stop going to meetings, the minute I stop connecting with people, the minute I lose my relationship with God, the minute I stop doing this, working on my spiritual condition, praying, meditating, the minute I stop that will be the minute that I end up going backwards. And I'm under no illusion that once that starts to happen, I will become powerless again. And my solution to living life will be to use drugs again. I know 100% that will be my answer if I go backwards. So what I do is I've got a routine. I get up in the morning, I pray first thing. Sometimes I go up on the downs. I do about half an hour, 40 minutes just to center myself, get connected. Because if I get up and just run off doing my day, everything gets a bit overwhelming and too much. So I've got to start it off nice and calm, and then I connect with people, reach out to newcomers. Because I suffer with self-obsession, so all my problems are always the worst, and everything's going on for me, and it's their fault. But when I'm helping somebody else, it gets me out of that.
Yeah.
Start thinking of others, working on myself, and just helping the next person.
Well, well done, mate. Well done. Listen, so much respect from us, I tell you, mate, and you are a real inspiration to a lot of people.
If anyone's struggling, like you said, Martin, they've just got to keep trying. They've just got to keep trying. And it's like recovery to me is like a dripping tap over a bucket. It doesn't just get opened up and you get recovery. It drips over time, and over time, the penny starts to sink, and then people work out what works for them. Because not everyone's recovery is the same. What works for me might not work for everybody else. What worked for other people might not work for me. So you just need to keep picking yourself up, trying, and then there's no such thing as failing, because if you get yourself back up and you try again, you haven't failed, because you've learned something. You've learned what not to do, or what to do, and then you just got to keep trying, and then eventually, God willing, everything will be okay.
Yeah. Well, brilliant, Mark. Well, listen, well done. Congratulations on your 3 years. Massive respect. I think it's really fantastic. So, listen, mate, thanks for coming on. And you're such a great part of Unleashed. I mean, and what is amazing is what a great actor you've become. Aside of your rehab, my gosh, I mean, Crossing the Switchblade, we're going to be looking back at that in a few weeks' time. My goodness, your portrayal of Israel was amazing. I mean, you are such a natural. So it's great having you in the group. So thank you, mate. All right, so have a good day and celebrate, and we'll see you soon. Take care, mate.
Take care.
God bless. Take care.
Yes.
Okay, well, we've got something else to shout about as well. We always like to big up people who are doing great things, and if they're particularly performing or acting. We went and saw lovely Wayne in Macbeth, and I think he's doing something online with that, so we'll probably get him on to talk about that. And we went and saw Steve and Bevis in their play Heroes at the Little Theatre. But John Agate is here with us today, and John's been quite involved with Unleashed for many years, actually, haven't you? You've been in lots of our shows.
I have.
John, you've just done the voiceover for a really professional job, all about loneliness. Do you want to? It's called Zacs Story. It's on YouTube from this week, and it's to tie in with Loneliness Awareness Week. So do you want to tell us a little bit about the project and how you got involved and what it was like doing the voiceover?
The project, it sort of came about because I also with Rock Creative, which is another drama group in Torbay area, it moves about a bit because we keep having to move locations. But anyway, obviously, I think you probably know Joseph also, Joseph Robson. He also is in that drama group. I met Joseph through that, and then he was with us as well. But this came up, and it was quite a good thing to do a voiceover for, because obviously loneliness is a big issue and a big problem, and trying to make awareness of it, because I think people are probably aware of it, but they don't necessarily know how bad it is, or
No. And it's
or maybe don't necessarily know what to do. And I think this is what is good about this project, because it kind of gives an education in a simple way of to show, well, this is what it is, and like if you're lonely, there's these people to talk to, or there's this community cafe that you might not be aware of, or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, so it's a massive issue, isn't it, loneliness? Particularly among perhaps people with disabilities, or perhaps who live on their own. So I mean, obviously, Unleashed, we're all about getting people out and getting connected and stuff like that. But I have to say, I was really so impressed with it. I mean, it's so well produced. It's all stop animation, isn't it?
Yeah.
So how long did it take to produce, and when did you do the voiceover for it?
Well, we did a couple of voiceovers, because there was an original one which we did months ago. I'm not sure how long all the animation was took. I haven't been told that, but to be honest, but I think it would have taken a while, because they had to make the models first, and then it had to be all edited together and things like that. But there was an original one which didn't mention the pandemic or coronavirus or COVID-19 or whatever you want to call it. And then one day, maybe 3, possibly 4 weeks ago, we got a call saying, or it was either a call or an email saying, do you want to do something more with this? And there were just a few extra lines added, that obviously the ones that related to the coronavirus outbreak, because like there's the bit in there that talks about volunteering at the garden place and going to the community cafe, which is something a lot of people, well, you can't really do at all, or you can do a bit now, maybe. I'm not sure exactly what the regulations are, but obviously it was important to modify it for these particular times.
And presumably, John, did they wrote the storyboard and the script first, and then they recorded the voiceover, which you did, and then did they do the animation to fit with the timing of the script and the voiceover?
I think possibly. I'm not completely certain, because I did the voiceover and I didn't see the animation while I was doing the voiceover, so maybe they were doing it at the same time. Or
so John,
maybe...
is this the first time you've done a bit of voiceover work?
No, I've done one with a friend I have called Stuart, and he's does some animation as well, and I did a very small amount with him, but I haven't really done a huge amount of voiceover. Disappearing. I haven't done a huge amount of voiceover work, really. Not on this scale, anyway. I mean,
Well, John, can I just say a massive congratulations and a massive shout out, because my goodness, it is really impressive. I tell you, it is such. We're gonna see it in a second. There's a 4-minute little documentary about the making of it, which dear Joe, our Joe, he appears in it as well. But it is so charming, and I think it's actually quite heartrending. It really it really actually gets the message over that actually a lot of people, lonely people out there, there are places they can go, and there's places where they can talk to people. But well done, John. I just thought, we've got to get you on, and we've got to get you talking about it, because it's so well done. And is it Loneliness Awareness Week this week? Because it's been launched just this week, hasn't it?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, well done, John. Listen, can I just say, mate, well done. Really pleased with it. And we're going to have a look at it now. So, okay, so that's coming on, and we'll see you shortly. All right, take care.
Okay. Bye.
Hey, I'm Zach, and this is my story. This is me on the day I finally moved into my own place last summer. There was so much unpacking to do. I was so pleased to have some help to move in. Because of my learning disability, I get 10 hours of support a week to help me with my finances, planning, and shopping. It took me a while to get things straight, but once I'd unpacked, it really felt like home. I had all the time in the world, so I brushed up on my cooking, watched TV, and played loads and loads of video games. After a while, I began to feel restless. There was so much time to fill and no one to share it with. Sometimes I felt really sad, but I didn't know why. Nighttime was the hardest. I hated being on my own after it had gone dark. The TV became my friend. I didn't care what was on, as long as it filled the silence. I ate way too many takeaways and drank far too much. I went to bed, but I couldn't get to sleep. I just felt so lonely. Things always seemed worse at night, and I hardly slept for worrying about what might happen to me. A warm, sunny day made everything feel better, but I was desperate for someone to talk to. My support worker suggested that I needed to get out and make new friends in my community. Of course, this was long before the coronavirus lockdown, so I took her advice. My only way to get out was public transport, but the timetable was so confusing, and I just missed the morning bus. I couldn't afford a taxi, so I had to wait over an hour for the next bus. I tried not to make eye contact with anyone, and I just stared out of the window. Felt like the longest journey of my life.
You don't mind if I sit here, do you, dear? Lovely day, isn't it? There's nothing worse than being stuck at home on your own all day.
I think Jean was a bit lonely too and just wanted someone to listen to her. It worked out well. She talked and I listened.
No, yesterday I met a lovely chap. We chatted for hours.
Jean told me about the new community cafe that has opened in town. I decided to go, but walking through the door was the hardest thing ever. I felt like the odd one out. The only person who was there on their own. I sat in a quiet corner by myself. I might as well have been invisible. I felt miserable. But then Jess came over, and that was the moment when things started to change. Jess was brilliant. She introduced me to her friends. She also helped me find out about things that were happening nearby. We made a map together to highlight all the places that are important to me in the community. Sometimes we went on the bus together. And I'm gradually gaining the confidence to go to new places and meet new people on my own. Best of all, I discovered the community garden project. I now volunteer there 2 days a week. It might even lead to a job. I never used to speak to anyone, but now I chat to everyone, and I've made loads of new friends through social events. Things are better at home too, now that I've got some company. This is my cat, Oscar. I'm so glad I made loads of friends before the coronavirus pandemic started. It feels like ages since Jess and I were together. Social distancing has been really hard, but my friends and family have helped me realise I can stay connected even when I'm on my own. It's easy to call or message friends and family whenever I need to chat to someone. I still get lonely sometimes, but I've learned that time alone can be okay too. Just me and Oscar. I feel safe, and I know where to get extra support if I need it. We can all get lonely sometimes, whatever our age or ability. There's loads of help out there, so if you're feeling lonely, isolated or vulnerable, then check out some of these services. If you need to talk to someone urgently, Samaritans is available round the clock. You can call Samaritans for free on 116 123. This video was created by United Response to highlight the issues of loneliness that were raised by the people we support. Watch our animation diaries to find out more.
Okay, guys, so here we are with Julie Ingham from the Jatis project, who's joining us this morning. And bless you, it's really kind of you to come on. Everybody, a lot of our guys have been through the Jatis project, which is our rehab residential project in Torquay. And Julie, you, how long have you worked there for Jatis?
So I've been here for 11 years. 11 years.
Oh my God.
Seems a lifetime ago. Yeah, since 2009 I joined.
So you must have seen a lot of people come through the doors.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Seen some amazing people, some amazing journeys, some sad journeys. They weren't quite ready. That was okay. Some people have come back 3 times.
Yeah.
We never give up on anyone.
No, that's really good. So, Julie, just explain what Jatis actually does, because we hear it a lot, and a lot of the guys that we have come to club have been through that or going through it at the moment. We've got quite a few who are with you at the moment. Do you want to just explain how people get referred or how they get a place and what exactly is involved when they come and stay with you?
Yeah. Okay, so Jatis initially, when Jatis has actually been open for 12 years, initially it was known as like a dry house. So people would come in and get support to remain abstinent, but there wasn't like a program involved then. So back in 2015, they introduced the treatment program. So then it became known as community rehab. So what that would involve is not only would we support anybody coming in with any substance misuse, whether it's drugs, alcohol, prescription drugs. They have support from anything to claiming housing benefit, to JSA, to making sure they've got the right benefits, to shopping, to budgeting, to training, enjoying and hobbies and counselling. We get referrals as well to refer them for counselling, to voluntary work, to job activities. I don't think there's anything that we probably don't do. Even DIY, I think. So we do, So the idea of it is, Martin, really is that someone's had enough. They've realised they've got to stop using drugs or drinking. They want support. And it's really hard, I think, in a lonely place to be in when you've got friends around you that are still using or drinking, or your social network. You're seeing that all the time. It's a really hard and lonely place to be in. So when someone does decide, what usually happens is they they have to be under Shrublands or Walnut Lodge, which is the local drug and alcohol agency in Torbay. So usually when someone is having real problems with substances, they would usually be under Shrublands or Walnut Lodge, because that's what's known as their workers, their drug and alcohol support workers there. So some people might be on methadone scripts or Subutex scripts. Some people might be doing a reduction program for drink or wanting a detox. So when they're with Shrublands and Walnut Lodge, we work really closely with them at Jatis. That's what's classed as they're in treatment then. So they go onto a halo system, which is what we can access. So we know who is wanting to come in, because their workers at Walnut and Shrublands will ask them to start coming to prep for rehab group, which is at Shrublands usually on a Wednesday 11:30. And I know Karen and Marc take that group. Obviously, because of COVID, that's not been on. But usually what you do, you'd be encouraged to attend 4 of them groups. And in the meantime, I would come to the group and say hi to the guys, get to know them and do a bit of pre-engagement work with them, just to encourage them. Because what we find is some people do want to come for accommodation, but they're not quite ready and realising that actually it's not just accommodation. No. You're going to be encouraged to do groups. You're going to be encouraged to do some rehab workbooks, and not realising that how much I think some people come in and think, oh God, I didn't realise it was involved all this.
It's a commitment, isn't it? It's a big commitment.
Yeah, so it is really making sure they're ready, because we don't want to set anyone up to fail, and many a times we've seen people and they've not got any motivation for change at the moment. They want that bedroom and the roof over their heads, and we have to just make sure that that's not just what they want. Therefore, that's how we get to know them a bit through the prep for rehab group, other groups. Then I start meeting them and getting to know them. They'll come and visit and have a look around the house. By all means, anyone who wants to come in, they usually might ring me, because I know them all mostly. I know them who know them. They might ring and say, Julie, so and so really needs support and they want to come in, and then I'll just say on the phone, get them to Walnut or Shrublands, and then Walnut and Shrublands will let me know that they want to come to Jatis, and then we just take over from there and start ringing them and speaking to them and meeting them.
Yeah, that's really good. And is it 2 houses Jatis runs?
Yeah, so we've got a 10-bedroom house and we've got a 5-bedroom house. So they're mixed, because my belief is I don't want to put all the newcomers in one house. I like to spread it out so that we've got people that have been here 6 months or 3 months or 9 months, because they're a great support for the newcomers then. So we mix the houses up, male and female. You each have your own room with your own key. Obviously, it's shared kitchen, lounge, bathrooms and toilets. You have a job sheet. So you're part of that therapeutic duties, we call them. So we do promote doing your house job. We share the house jobs around the house, and we promote that because that's part of living.
Yeah.
And Jatis do a group on a Monday and a Friday morning, and we do that all together for everybody that's in Jatis. We do that at Shrublands in a group room, and that's called a process group. So that's quite a good room, because it's a space where you can speak about what you want to, and in a safe environment, confidential, and you'll get to know everyone and their journeys through that.
Yeah.
And then what we do, apart from our groups, you work through rehab books with your worker as well. Sometimes that might take about 4 weeks to get one back in, but we do give them a nudge now and then. Then we promote, obviously, drama group. Some go to the living room for different activities. Endeavour House, they go to a lot of groups there, and they build up their own little routine. So you have got your own free time, and you have got, you decide. It's your recovery, and it's about promoting what you want. What do you want? Because unless you want it, it's not going to work. Yeah. We're just there to sort of walk alongside you.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, it's probably different for everybody, but on an average, how long would someone perhaps be with yourselves? Because I know we've had Marc on earlier, and he was talking about his time in Jatis.
Marc was a world record.
He was there for like 2 years or something, he was saying. But I know that's not everyone's experience. I mean, what sort of average time do people...
So for me, I mean, if you the treatment program is classed as 12 weeks. Now, 12 weeks is never enough for anybody. I don't believe. You know, don't get me wrong. I think if someone's got good recovery and they've had a bit of a relapse, they just need that bit of nurturing for another 12 weeks and they're fine. But, you know, for someone that's been out there for years abusing substances, 12 weeks is a blink of an eye, really. So we used to have people in for 2 years. You know, and that's probably what Marc has spoken about. And it was really, really great because you got to know them so well. They're just part of the family. It's like a big house of... I'm mumsy. I'm more of a strict mum than I was all that time ago, though. There'll be some that were telling you I was a real softie, and now some of them say she's not actually that much of a softie or not. But now what the idea is it's what your timing is, really. If you come in and you're 12 weeks in, then you can have another 12 weeks resettlement, which makes that 6 months. And we've still got people in 11 months later.
Yeah.
So you can choose. And what we do is, you know, individuals will know when they feel they've had enough, when they feel they're ready to move on. And then what we do is put a real good support package for move on, so that we know when they do move, because we would support them either in private rented or council housing association property through Devon Home Choice. We make sure that they've either got their NA or AA support in place. There are other groups that they attend. It's not just Jatis, it's about the outside support, so that they've got a good support network, and it's just about really encouraging people to keep that up, because when you move on, that is the most difficult time, because you're in your flat on your own.
Yeah, no, totally. Well, we've been talking about loneliness today, actually, because I think it's Loneliness Awareness Week, and one of our guys has just done a voiceover for it. But when we wrote a sketch about universal credit, and it was basically a sharing of all the guys' experience. And one of the biggest things they said that was the hardest thing as a temptation to sort of fall back into their old ways was loneliness.
I absolutely agree, and I say that. From working here this long, from my experience of getting to know the guys and then moving out, the main people that we see relapse are people that are lonely.
Yeah,
they're lonely. And I think it's quite easy to, when the boundaries have gone, you're in your own flat. Whereas, say at Jatis, you've got boundaries in place. You know, there's house rules and certain things. When you're in your own flat, I think it's a real dangerous thing to think, oh, I can have a celebration. You know, I've got my flat, and it's almost like some people will think, oh, they'll use drink or drugs to celebrate. They'll use drink or drugs when they feel bad, and it's almost like that learned behaviour that they've got themselves into. But loneliness is a main trigger I found.
I think a lot of our guys found one of the hardest things is that obviously if most of their community and their core friends have been users or people who they've been, you know, who are on the same sort of lifestyle as them, to suddenly feel lonely and you haven't got an alternative, that's the hardest thing, where who are your mates? You know, your old users and people who used to party with. So, so would you say that that's really important help them build up a sort of a network of support?
Really important. And what we promote is when someone comes in, and we, you know, usually I'm really lucky because I know a lot of people in Torbay and that have been in addiction. You know, because I've also worked at Leonard Stark and Safe Space, so I've got to know quite a lot of them. So mostly when people ask to come in or they've been referred, I usually know them from back years ago or from now. And so therefore it's really hard, because when they come in, we automatically promote changing your phone number or changing your phone, because obviously there's dealers or people that you would associate with usually, and we're not saying they're bad people, because I know
No.
some of the best people in addiction. It's just about that social network. It's about
and who's going to be a good
if you
influence?
change nothing changes. That's it.
And that's really hard, isn't it? That's really hard.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what we do is, they find it's a gradual thing. They might change their phone number. They'll still see them in town, but it will be, no, I'm abstinent now. And hopefully, over their time in Jatis, they then build up another network, because not only are they living with people in recovery, they're then, say, going to the NA or AA in recovery. Then the other groups at Endeavour say that, and your guys there. There's drama group, of course. There's many of the guys in recovery there. So then they find they've got a whole new network that's in recovery. So it becomes easier.
Yeah. And I think what we've found, Julie, is that actually, because there is no judgment, and because they all have got their own issues, but every single person has got their issues. They all start supporting one another, and because they're all in the same boat, and they're all on the same journey of wanting to, get to where they were, they all help one another.
Amazing. They are amazing support for each other.
Lovely to see.
And you know what? They even know now when I have a bad day, that, and I get a little text, "Are you okay? You seem quiet today," because I'm such a chat box. But it's amazing the support that they give to you and one another. It's lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Julie, listen, thank you so much for coming on and telling us all about it. We love Jatis because we see the amazing work that you guys do. And my goodness, you really get results. We have so many lovely people in our group who are benefiting from the work that Jatis does. And, who sort of, they have very fond memories of when they were with you. So thank you so much for all that you guys are doing. And we're just really grateful. You point people in our direction.
Oh yes, your posters are up, Martin. I can't. I won't turn the camera around. I might turn you off. There you are. You're in all the houses. So we really promote the drama groups, Unleashed, and we've been to the shows, amazing,
bless you.
And you know what, I just want to say one thing. I thought of this earlier, to make sure I say this, I was going to nearly forget. So we've got a guy that's come in the project, and this is way back, and he was a real sort of no confidence, a real negative. Even his speech was negative, his mannerism, he had no confidence. Really sad to see, and I'm ashamed to actually say, I actually told him this, that I would come in the front door, and if I knew he was in the kitchen, I'd sort of quickly run past the kitchen in case he caught me. First thing in the morning, because first thing in the morning, when he really wanted to rant and rage about everything. And, it's about that patience, he's got a lot of stuff in him. Well, he started coming to Unleashed Spirit Group, he did. And that guy was on stage at Christmas, and I'd say he came a few times, and initially when we first promoted him to go to there, that's not my thing, I don't like that sort of thing. And he was really lacking in confidence. Well, he came and he said, I just watched for a little while. Okay, so the next week, each time he's joined in a little bit more. Well, he was on the stage, arms in the air, and I cried in that audience, because that person is a different person today. And that's not just because of Jatis, that's because of Unleashed as well, because that's allowed him to, I can't even explain what it's allowed him to do, but it's just allowed him to be, and he's got great friends, and he can't wait for the next show and for his next part, and he's a different man. I'm not joking. He speaks now positive, he acts positive. Honestly, I should have videoed him when he first moved in here, and I tell him it myself. I said to him, you are not the man that walked in this house.
Bless him. They're all
and for me, as evident, I see it was from when he was in here, gaining some confidence and stuff, but going through the drama and gaining the confidence from there was amazing.
Oh, bless you. Yeah, good.
Amazing, yeah.
Well, listen, Julie, thank you ever so much. It's lovely to see you, and we'll keep in touch. You just come on again.
Yes.
I don't know how long we're going to be like this, but it's probably going to be like till October.
Probably a while.
But listen, bless you guys. You know, you did a
Thank
great job.
you.
All right.
Bye,
take care.
guys. Thank you.
Isn't that great? Oh gosh, it's so good to hear that. It's so good to hear that. Lovely Julie. What a lovely person. What a lovely person. Well, guys, we've got fantastic. What a lovely thing you have created, you know, and your voiceover talent, fantastic. Really good, mate. So, guys, we are going to finish. Oh my goodness, it's gone for 4 minutes over, but guys, have a good week, and we will see you all next time. Take care. God bless.